Summer might be over, but the wedding season definitely isn't. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can create this romantic and autumnal wedding color grading look in your photos just using Lightroom. Now, I love this look because it really emphasizes those warm and golden tones that you get this time of year. I love the fall season for this, one of my favorite seasons to photograph weddings. Now, if you'd like to follow along with the same photo that I'm going to be editing in today's video, make sure to go ahead to the link in the description. And I'm going to start right now. Now, this particular look works really well when you've shot your photos in the autumn seasons, maybe August to maybe the start of November. The photos that I've got here were taken in August, so the trees and leaves weren't quite orange or quite golden just yet, but some of them were turning. And I shot this in one of my favourite locations. It's in central London called St Dunstan's of East. It's this abandoned, dilapidated church. It was actually bombed in World War II, and it's turned into this really cool portrait photo shoot spot, which is where I took this couple. So we're going to go over to our develop panel and now drop down to the basics panel. Now in the basics panel, the very first thing we want to change is our color profile. At the moment, it's in Adobe Color, and we want to change that down because it's a wedding photo. We're going to change it to Adobe Portrait. After that, we're now going to tackle our white balance. Now, the main rule I've got for this is find the correct balance and then add in around 500 Kelvin to warm up your photo. So if you're shooting at maybe 5,500 Kelvin, you want to change it to 6,000 Kelvin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into the wedding dress. We can use this for our neutral color, for our color picker. We're going to go for our white balance selector tool, and we're going to simply go ahead and click on our wedding dress. That will give our right number. So we've got 5,900 Kelvin. So all I'm going to do is warm that up by around 500. I'm going to go for a nice round number. I'm going to go for 6,500 in this example. But again, you might need to change and alter that number depending on the white balance of your photo, and then change it accordingly, warm it up by around about 500 Kelvin. Now, once you've done that, all we're going to do now is go to our exposure. Now I'm finding this photo just a little bit dark with a bit too much contrast. So let's kind of bring out, kind of flatten out our histogram here. So I'm going to bring up our exposure a little bit. I'm going to leave contrast alone first, and then I'm going to go to my highlights and shadows. So I'm going to bring down those highlights. I'm going to bring up those shadows. There's a lot of shadows in this photo, so I'm going to balance it like so. And then with our whites and blacks, I'm going to go for +10 in the whites and -10 in the blacks. And then once we've done all of that, we can now add in our contrast. So I'm going to go for around about 20, I think, for this photo. Now for texture, clarity, and dehaze, because this is a wedding photo, I like creating a negative clarity effect. This works really well to soften out those skin tones. Now obviously the skin tones in this image don't take up a large proportion of the photo. So I'm going to do it anyway, because when I actually create this into a preset, you never know, I might actually have a photo that's got a large amount of skin tone. So it will create a nice softened look. So with my texture here, I'm going to go for +10. With my clarity, I'm going to go for -20. And then dehaze here, and I'm going to go for +10. And for vibrance and saturation, I'm not going to be changing them in this photo. So that's all we're going to be doing in step 1. Now let's move over to step 2, which is color grading. Now in color grading, we're going to be using 2 tools to create this autumnal look. We're going to be using the color mixer tool as well as the color grading tool. Let's start off with the color mixer tool first, because it's the one that's going to give us the biggest impact. So let's go ahead and open up our color mixer tool. Now the color mixer tool is split up into 3 sections. You've got your hue, saturation, and luminance. Hue is the type of color, so red, green, blue, orange, yellow, these are hues. But then you've got saturation, which is the amount or intensity of that color in your photo. And then lastly, we have luminance, which is the brightness or darkness of that photo. And in the color mixer tool, it's split into 8 color bands, from red all the way down to magenta. And we're going to be changing a few to create this autumnal look. So let's start off with hue first. The idea for this is we want to take a lot of those greens and convert them into yellows and create a lot of those oranges and actually emphasize them a little bit more. So what we're going to do is skip out reds and oranges for this tutorial because again, they can be found in the skin tones. We don't want to change the color of those skin tones. We're going to go to yellow here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for -30. you'll see that really changes some of those colors. But the biggest impact is going to be green. We're gonna go for -30. And what this has done is it's really changed those greens, made them almost look like they're turning orange. Again, adding to that autumnal look. And then with aquas and blues, we're gonna do something similar. We're gonna go for -10 in the aquas and -10 in the blues. And that's all we're gonna be doing to change the hue. We're also gonna be affecting luminance and saturation in this photo. Let's go ahead and change saturation next. Now again, we want to make sure we're missing out reds and oranges, because again, they can be found in the skin tones. We don't want to necessarily be changing the saturation of the skin tones in this video, so we're gonna skip all the way down to yellow. And what we're gonna do is gonna go and drop the saturation of those down by -15. And we're gonna do exactly the same for the green. Now for aquas and blues, we're gonna go a little bit further. We're gonna go for -30 in the aquas and -30 in the blues. And we're gonna do the same for purple and magenta. -30 and -30. We're removing some of that saturation found especially in the cooler tones of our photo, really emphasizing the warmer hues in our image. And we're gonna do the same in the luminance panel. So what we're gonna do is head over to luminance and basically do the same thing. So skip out reds and oranges. We've got yellows here, so I'm gonna increase those by +10, and then also increase the greens, but again, decrease the brightness of those cooler tones. So we're gonna go for -30, -30, and then -30 for the last two. -30 and -30. So from aquas to magentas, make sure you're choosing -30. And that's all we're gonna be doing in the color mixer tool. So we're gonna X out of that and now head down to color grading. Now we're going to be changing one thing, highlights. We're gonna add in a nice warm hue to it. So go ahead and choose a warm hue between 30 and 50, usually is quite a nice number. I'm gonna go ahead and choose 35, that's my favorite number for this. Go to your saturation and then add in the right amount. If you add in too far, it can kind of ruin the image. So be nice and subtle with this. I'm gonna go ahead and choose around 15 to 20. 10 to 20 works most times, but I usually choose 15. It's a nice round number, works on most photos. And that's all we're gonna be doing. Already, it's made a big impact. What I can do is show you the before and after. Let's really emphasize that by using masks, which is step 3. Now for this video, we are going to create 2 masks. We're gonna create a darken mask, because I find there's a little bit of distraction in this image. We really want to emphasize what's most important in the photo, the bride and groom, as well as I want to create a slightly glowy effect to those highlights. So let's go ahead and create a negative vignette mask for this photo. That will really help emphasize the bride and groom. So to do that, what we're gonna do is go over to my masking panel. I'm gonna drop down to where you can see it says radial gradient. I'm gonna select the middle portion of our photo, mostly covering the bride and groom. So I'm gonna go for something that looks like so. So make sure the bride and groom fall within our inner circle here. So go for something like so. Then what you want to do is to invert that, because we want to affect the exterior part of our image. So to do that, all you need to do is go right to the top. You can see the button that says invert. Simply click that. And now you can see it's now inverted this selection. Then all I'm gonna do is go to my exposure here and simply bring that down. What this will do is it will remove a lot of distractions on the exterior part of our photo. I'm finding the brickwork of St. Dunstan's is quite bright, so we really want to kind of de-emphasize that simply by darkening. We don't have to darken it too far. One stop works for most photos, but immediately I think that looks a lot nicer. So I might actually reduce this down, go for something like so, make it nice and subtle. And I think that works really well. And to combat that, to make the photo so it doesn't look too dark, we can actually add a brightness mask now. So what you're gonna do is with that mask selected, we're gonna go ahead and go create new mask. We're gonna go down to radial gradient and select this part or your brightener part of your photo. So I'm gonna select something like so. And then for this, all you're gonna do is go to your exposure, bring it up slightly. So around about half a stop for me. Then I'm gonna go down to my effects, go to my clarity, and simply drop that down. I might drop it down by -20. And if you want a little bit more, you can go to your dehaze here and also drop that down. It really blooms the highlights, and I must say, I really like this effect. And as you can see, it's really starting to come together. But there's one more thing I want to do, and that's in step 4, which is photo effects. Now in Photo Effects, I want to create a post-cropping vignette to really add to that vignette we've just made in our masking panel. So to do that, all you're gonna do is go down to my effects panel, go to where it says post-cropping vignette, and simply add in a negative number. That will create a darken effect. So I'm gonna go for -20 in this photo. Now, if you find that's a bit strong, what you can do is go to your feather here and simply increase that all the way to 100. And immediately, I'm absolutely loving this effect, creating this beautiful, warm, autumnal look. What I can do is now show you the before and after. So what I'll do is show you the before and the after, and that works really nice. But to show you it doesn't just work with this one image, let me show you the rest of the photos that they've got in their gallery. What I can do is move over to photo 2. Now, this was shot in the Landmark Hotel in London. What I can do is show you the before and after. Really like that nice warm look. And I'll show you a few more photos that I've taken in St. Dunstan's of East. So we've got the before and after. Got another one here. Now, this is shot in the archway, so it's a very similar shot to the previous one. We've got the before and after. And then we've got this photo here. This is again shot in the archway on the outside. So we've got before and after. I've had to change the transform a little bit because I shot it slightly on a wonky angle there. And then we've got 2 more photos. Now, this is one of my favorite photos, right on the edge. Love all of the ivy coming down. So we've got the before and after. And then the last photo here is a nice close-up image. Again, really finishes off this gallery. And I've got the before and after there. And don't forget to save this look as a preset. So like me, you can apply it to the rest of your photos in your Lightroom gallery. Thank you to all of my YouTube members that are currently supporting the channel. If you guys want to support the channel and get some awesome perks, including free Lightroom presets like the one we've just made today, make sure to go ahead to the link in the description. I've been James for Photo Fever, and I'll catch you guys next week.